That should happen kind of more or less right away. I can't really, I did watch that. Changes my breathe. Oh, this is the only part that makes me nervous. It's tech. And I'm going to babble about that a bit
Oh,
because,
sure. Well, we both could.
okay, I
If
am
it,
I am hearing an echo. So hang on, let me just get it to that. And I'm going to talk some more and see. The only part that makes me nervous. That's the worst. Babble about that. Okay, I think this is better. Aha. Okay, so now all I know is I don't know if Sally is hearing it or not. I hope so. She'll let me know. Yeah, and I want to be side by side with you rather than top and bottom. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll make you, hold on. Kind of like having you at the top of my screen. Okay, that way I'm looking more at you. All right, so gonna babble a little bit and then I'm gonna officially start. And hopefully we're streaming live. Just in case we're not, and no one knows what this is. What we're doing right now is something I coined. It's called Tech-kido. It's when you have technology that is what knows what's going on, and you use Aikido to get it to work for you. So, like, that's a new skill we all need to have, right? Tech-kido,
Tech-kido.
tech and Aikido. All right. I'm going to assume the only thing that makes me anxious is it working out there and whatever I can't see, perceive over on the other side of, the recording. So, but it's working with me and you. So
Same page. Yeah, it's right here.
that's all that matters. That's
Nice.
all that matters.
Yeah.
So, welcome, Chris. Welcome to our inaugural broadcast, if you will, of Road Trip to Fairfax. This is for our audience out there that may not be there now, but will be later. I hope this is the first of many, many engaging hours, episodes of you and I and others possibly talking and sharing and being real and having a good time. And why don't you introduce the concept of Road Trip to Fairfax and tell folks what that is, why we have that name for this podcast?
Well, where do I start with that? It was kind of one of those things where I like to kind of role play stuff in my mind, and sometimes it's a play on words, and sometimes it's just a thought that's just like, hey, wow, it brings me back to that moment when we were in the car, and a lot of times it's when we're coming over the bridge, and maybe the time zone has changed and it's a little bit darker, and I'm seeing the lights and everything like that. There's just something magic. Oh, getting goosebumps. There's something magical about that, and especially once you get to that point, like there's so much meaning with that road trip to Fairfax. It's like once you're getting over that bridge, there's a good chance on the other side it's going to be pretty smooth sailing for you, because then you just have the rest of the pretty drive there. But what I found is that when you and I would get together, and especially during this COVID time, and get on the screen and do this Zoom one-on-one, that I recognized that we were talking a lot about our experiences about since we met during the Ecstatic Dance, but it seemed like to me those experiences also brought up times that either we talked about something on the way to Fairfax, or it was something that we experienced at a dance and came back from it. And it was just something really very special about that, because it's not just like for example, with COVID going away, it's not just the brick and mortar itself that I miss. It's that whole experience. And that's what really made Friday night so special, is just that whole road trip from start to finish, just knowing that like anything's possible, from traffic to DJ not showing up and another DJ having to perform, to a sound healing that you and I are looking at each other saying, are you kidding me? Oh, right, it's a podcast. Maybe I should say out loud, are you kidding me? Yeah. But that's where the concept came up.
Yeah.
Is just basically, it was a thought of road trip to Fairfax, and since those things have kind of like, I think, slipped from our mind a little bit, it's kind of cool to kind of role play that stuff. And it's been a lot of fun to sit there and close my eyes and think about it, and just like now visualizing going over the bridge with the lights.
So for our audience, I'm going to take us back a little farther than where Chris started, because he started on the road trip to Fairfax, but no one knows what that is. And that is Chris and I met at Ecstatic Dance here in this town where we live. It's called Oakland, California. And at one point, Chris was driving to Fairfax, 45 minutes away, for a Friday night Ecstatic Dance that I wasn't going to because I didn't want to drive there. And he started picking me up on a regular basis, like weekly. I'd get in his car, we'd time it, I'd get in his car, and off we go. A 45-minute drive, including going over the Richmond Bridge. That's the bridge that Chris is talking about, into the little town of Fairfax, where there'd be this ecstatic dance that we'd dance at and just have our dance, our individual but group dance, and then get back in the car and then have our visit coming home, our processing the dance or whatever was on our minds. And it was just a magical time we did over and over and over again, every time new, every time fresh. And it seems like, well, frankly, I called Chris up out of the blue a couple of weeks ago and started talking because we hadn't talked. We hadn't done a road trip for 9 months because there's no dance. And I said, you know what? This feels like our road trip to Fairfax. We're doing it on the phone. So let's do a podcast. So here we are having a road trip. Get out the road.
I know. I get so excited about it. I just like, I'm already in the car, kind of like the dog hanging its head out the window, like, okay, let's go. So it's like, well, how about we give a little bit more like background to this? And I'd forgotten about that too, because for me, it was just a real treat just to like have a companion on the road and to do that, which it's fun. I like it by myself. I crank the music and I jam. That's all fun and good. But when we started doing that, it actually became more of a ritual is what it is. Like it would be more of an exception to the rule to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it this given Friday.
Exactly. So that became our weekly, like, time to get together and enter altered space and real intimate. We're both in the car. There's nobody else. Occasionally we have passengers, but mostly it was just you and I. And we would just like shoot the breeze in the way that you and I do. And it was just so nourishing and satisfying and fun and rewarding. And I missed it.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm guessing maybe you missed it
oh
too.
my God.
Here we are. We're doing a road trip and we're sharing it with others because it's an awesome trip. Whatever comes out is what comes out. We're just being spontaneous. We have like we never did with our road trips in the car. We don't have any agenda. We don't have any plan. There's probably nothing we think we're going to talk about before we get started, and off we run, right? Off we go.
Yeah, but we both like shared this like mutual, I loved it because we both shared this like mutual discipline for some form of regiment. Like, okay, we'll plan to be here, get you at this time, be on the road. And then what I loved about it that was very fluid with us is we'd kind of like feel each other out while we're at dance. And sometimes if we weren't feeling it, we decided we want to cut it early. We're just tired. I mean, it's a Friday night. And we'd be able to have that fluidity to say, yeah, let's be able to go. But yeah, I liked it. I liked the regular schedule that we had.
What occurs to me too is like we were like a team. Like you picked me up. I was trying to think, were you my pilot? You weren't exactly my pilot, but you were kind of like the pilot because I always rode and you always drove, right? And then we get there and we just, we had our individual experiences for sure at the dance, but we were like a couple, but not a couple, in that sense. We're a team and we're like, okay, is it moving you or not? Let's take off when we feel like it. And we had each other's back in that sense.
Right? Right there. Yeah. It felt, I mean, that part felt very nourishing because it was like you could make eye contact with a trusted person. And whether it's like, are you seeing this? Are you getting this or experiencing this? It's that whole like shared experience thing that just felt like so much more enriched in the evening because it wasn't something that you were just seeing yourself and then kind of double take and said, did I see that or did I experience it? It's like, lock it in.
Yeah. Really having that figure eight, the flow, like, is this, we're both in this reality. Wow. Okay. It's not just mine by myself out here. Right. Yeah. I feel nostalgia and I feel so much affection for you, Chris, just because honestly, when you started driving me, I'm like, are you sure? Do you want me to pay? Do you want me to do? Do you want me to like, what do I have to do, to earn this gift you're giving me? And you're like, no, Harmony, you're the gift. I like listening to you. I like the talk we have. You give me company as we go. And, you're, my teammate, basically, my partner. Like, right. I'm gonna call the person in the seat that's the shotgun seat, in a car. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like your
Like
co-pilot?
co-pilot, pilot. That's it. Pilot, co-pilot.
Yeah.
That's,
The
that's it.
navigator,
Yeah,
you'd
yeah.
help watch out the road too. And I appreciate that. Grab that fast track. When I forget about it, I'm like, ooh, can you grab that real quick? That's actually kind of a big deal.
Open the glove compartment and like stick the thing on there so we get,
Yeah.
for people that don't know what a fast track is, in these Bay Area bridges, you can either wait in line behind cars and pay cash and like wait forever, or you can get this little gizmo that just like it's like a credit card slide as you just drive through, and it takes your license and it charges you for your bridge toll. So yeah,
Yeah. Not
fast
to
track.
digress, but you know what I heard? I heard that they don't, because I accidentally went through with the rental and didn't have my fast track. And so, I, Honest Abe here told the the people who, yeah, from who I rented, but that they don't have people working the booths anymore. And I think it's been this for a while, but it's like, I just recently learned about this. Yeah. Like I think it's just all fast track, or they just all catch it by your license plate and send you a bill. But supposedly,
Oh,
and what
that,
we'd have to fact check that, but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. And I want to say I saw the signs when I went over one of the bridges recently that read that it's just like there's no more toll keepers.
It's like there's no more working in the office anymore since COVID, and there's no more toll booth people anymore. And quite frankly, I haven't been on a bridge or in a car for like 8 months, Chris. I have not gotten in my car except once, like 5 months ago, try to get unemployment and then back. That was it. And I finally just disconnected the battery and covered the car, and it just sits there in the driveway. Still have to pay insurance. I got a reduced rate a little bit, not much. They don't care.
Yeah, you register non-op. So I think what they call it.
Something like that,
Yeah,
non-op. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm curious. Do you miss it at all? Not the road trip. So yeah, but just the whole car thing, or like.
frankly, that was one of the reasons I didn't want to drive to Fairfax. And I don't like the traffic here. And I ride my bike, and there's a lot of local things now, and I don't like the traffic on the roads, and I just actually feel less stressed, and I don't even take public transportation. I walk or I ride my bike, and that is it. And it's enough. So, and I know you love the car and you love driving, so we're different that way. That was one reason the road trips worked, because you wanted to drive, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, I want to get
I
behind
don't
the wheel.
want to. I was worried if I was going to have to take a turn and drive us, and you're like, no, I want to.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Ah. Hmm. That was a lot, and I need to pause, and I'm pausing.
Yeah. And I'm not jumping in. Yeah. I like taking a minute to process all that.
Yeah,
Because what I lose sight of the fact is that I appreciate how you jump in and kind of help fill things in, like the backstory to the road trip, or like, folks, what a fast track is. It's like a lot of this stuff, I'm too quick to like talk that I don't really think about the context of like, okay, like a good
well,
comedian, know your audience.
for you and me, we're on a phone call. That's pretty much what we're doing, is a visual phone call.
Yeah.
And for me, I've been thinking about how this can go public and be like really listened to now and later. So I thought about that a little bit before I got on. I was like, well, you might want to kind of like put context on things sometimes, just so people like can plug in and not just be
Hmm.
like, what? So no bad on your part. You're my co-host. I'm the
Oh yeah.
one setting the direction, even though you're at the wheel going,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I got it.
Uh-uh. What is it? The double A? I had Fords for the longest time, and it's I always recognize. Do you remember the commercial? Double A, honk honk, MCO. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a Ford honk. I'll take that Pepsi challenge. I'm like, no, I recognize that. So I used to love to do that all the time. I'd drive up, double A, honk honk, MCO.
I wanted a horn on my car that went. Another story. That's another piece of my multifaceted, multicolored history, of which it never ends, and I can talk about forever, as we both know.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Some good story times there too. Harmony Lane.
Harmony Lane. I got asked on Pam's dance. I don't know. Were you there on Monday night? Did you go to Pam's?
Not this, yeah, not yet. What is that? Boy, I lose sight of my time here.
Amazing.
Not yes, you're talking yesterday, right? When it was the oldies?
Yeah, was that Monday?
I know. See, that's why it threw me off. Yeah, I forgot.
I don't think
No, I did not go, but what happened there?
Oh, so let me just say that Pam is Pam. I know Pam from live in-person dancing from years ago, that Pam has created a Monday night weekly. She calls herself DJ Silly Dillick. You can look that up if you want to try to do her dance. And she hosts a great space every Monday. It's a free dance. And Chris goes, and I often go, and sometimes we're there together. We see each other on the little Zoom screens. And what happened last night? Last night was oldies. She did a whole set of oldies, which was, 50s, 60s, 70s music, which is my generation. And at the end, someone asked, like, what was your first concert? What was the first music concert you went to? And there were about 20 people on the screen, and one by one, people named. You tell which generation people were, what they, and I walked out because I was hungry, but I came back, and by then, I got a trick to show you. Watch this. I just discovered this. Do I look upside down to you?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Do I look sideways? Which is
Yeah.
how I know.
You're just,
So
you're too funny.
that last night at Pam's. It's right on this little app I've been using for 3 years and never noticed that was even an option. It's right there on the front. It's like a button right there. But so I was playing with that, and I actually ended up losing the interface, so I couldn't flip myself back up right side up. So what I did, so I was like this, and I said, "Oh, I want to share. I want to share my first concert. My first concert was Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. First time I dropped acid, maybe like almost the last time. I don't really drop acid, but I still have this from the acid trip."
So those are actually real. All these times I couldn't tell if that was Snapchat or not that you were wearing. They're real.
Oh, look, they're a real thing. Yeah. Somebody showed up at a dance several months ago, 5, 6, 7, 8 months ago, wearing a pair of these during the lunch break. And I'm like, where did you get those? And he gave me the link. So I have 2 pairs. One that has dark, like they're dark glasses inside, and the other ones are clear. They have little holes in them so you can actually see. I can see through them. So I'm not blinded.
Yeah. Yeah, your anime throws me off. When you throw that one on, I just can't stop staring at it because it's just so just like out there. There was a movie a long time ago called A Scanner Darkly that you kind of have that movement. It was just kind of like a new type of animation that they were doing that looked very real. But every time I look at that, I'm like, ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah, just take a double.
I haven't used her in a while. I don't always put the Snapchat on. I'll do that on one of our road trips, though. I'll slap it up. I'm not going to do it now because I'd have to put my tech mind on and go do that. And Sally asked me, "Are you going to do music?" I'm like, "No, I didn't prepare it. No music this time. Don't even don't get me tech stressed because I'm great until I get tech stressed, and then all of a sudden, I lose capacity."
Yeah, if the music starts to go, and then sometimes I have that problem where I just start listening to the music, and heaven forbid there's lyrics.
Turns out to.
Yeah.
I think he was talking about having like a little intro music for the podcast, like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you know, whatever the intro song that shows. And so, and she's great. It was a great idea, and not yet. Soon, maybe.
And then guests can come in with their like intros, like, like boxers do when they're coming in the ring. They'll have something playing.
What's your intro? Don't tell me about yourself. Just show me. Dance.
Yeah.
Dance your way into this podcast.
Could
Yeah,
do
we
that.
might have to do some podcasting or some podcasting during the dance. Some
Dance cast. Jeez.
When you break your arm dancing, that's called a dance cast.
Ah.
That's me with my wordplay. All right, there is something. I want to take a breath. Move a little. Make sure you're still, that I'm not so, yes, that I'm here. I'm trying, so you can see that transitions can be tricky for me. And so I am getting someplace that was an intention, I think, moving out of spontaneous into, wait, new chapter, now spontaneous, right? So this is a chapter flip, I think, because one of the things I thought about as I was dreaming this podcast was, well, should I have a theme? Should we have a theme or a subject or a thing, right? Because I mean, folks, honestly, we used to talk about dance mostly because we danced and we had dance experiences and we processed dance and other pieces of our life and all the things that lead, at least it seemed like that was a fallback topic. Let me put it that way. Not that I ever worried if you and I would have a topic, but it seemed, my mind.
Yeah, agreed. No. I'm there.
Yeah. That's why you're my listener. You see how fast Chris got that? So when I let him, when I realized he was getting it, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Just speak up to let me know, but he did. So I was thinking about that a little bit and thinking, well, maybe not. If I get a theme and then I get worried about whether I can do the theme, that might just take me out of the moment. So I'm just going to be really soft and easy about that today to see. And then this morning, I have a new practice, Chris, that I really like. How much should I introduce here? I guess I'll just tell you this piece. This is a breathing practice that comes from a guy named Wim Hof, who is a Norwegian guy. He's kind of a thing now. A lot of people know about him. He does really cold water stuff, and then he does this breathing stuff. And I've known about him. Doesn't matter. Leave the background. So, but I've been doing a cold shower every morning, which I've been doing for years anyway. And then the other piece that I've been really consistently doing is this breath exercise. And you basically, like 30 breaths. And then on the out breath, you just hold it as long as you can. And then when you can't anymore, you start to breathe in again. And so I time myself. That's part of the practice. Like, how long can I do that? I use my little stopwatch on my phone, right? I don't really watch it, but I do go, oh, that was a minute. Oh, that was almost 2 minutes. Oh, that was barely a minute. It kind of depends. I'm sort of self noticing the difference, different times, different thoughts, different whatever's, what affects that. At any rate, I had just finished that today. And I look out my window that looks out onto I'm on the 3rd floor of this apartment here in Oakland. And I mean, basically I have wind chimes and I have crystals that make sparklies, and I have a tree out there with sometimes critters and birds. And so there's kind of a lot to sort of like, become. I almost become the crystal, the light, or the wind, or the chimes, or there's a way, or just what do I feel in my body? So it's a way of focusing. And so I was doing that. I finished today and I was focused right into this tree. And what I saw, I'm going to read you because I spoke into my phone, recorded it. What do they call that? Speak it to text. And I wanted to share that with you. I thought that would be fun. And when it was all over, I went, oh, this is the topic. This is a piece I want to share tonight. So you're gonna get it if I find it. Okay, so do I do a reading voice? Yes, something like that. I was preparing now. I'm preparing myself to come into. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can read and do icon. I'll do. I know. Okay, one more time. Here we go. This is all practice, folks. You can learn this at home. Take small baby steps. I had just finished my breath exercises and was gazing out my window. And these words came into my awareness. Don't rush life. Wait for it. Reaching versus yielding. My body simply wants accompaniment. My mind rushes and reaches, but my body just wants to be and wants me to be, wants me to accompany it, and to savor life moment by moment. I was taught by a squirrel today. Squirrels are usually frenetically rushing around. Their nervous systems are hyper-vigilant. They're super alert and they're very, very busy. You know that about squirrels, right? Have you seen it? Like always looking and running and flicking and, bearing and looking. And I mean, they're just like birds, they're constantly hyper-vigilant. So today I watched a squirrel for over 20 minutes. At this meditation, I finished and my eyes were focused on the squirrel. It was being completely still. It was perched in a tree, absorbing the sun, apparently. Occasionally, the squirrel would startle briefly. Like I'd hear a loud noise and it would go tick, just a little ear would tick. But then it returned to the stillness of yielding. Yielding to the healing and the pleasure of the sun shining on it and into it. It had chosen to perch on a branch just where the sunlight was penetrating the tree, just beyond the edge of the shade. It was bent over, leaning forward. It was like this. Bent over, leaning forward, its head facing into the wind. There's quite a bit of wind, and it was like head into the wind. Its tail was curled back up over its back, and it was all fluffed out. You know how their tails just get,
yeah.
Right? I've never seen a squirrel act like this before. I had no idea what I was seeing, except I know what I was seeing. I was seeing a squirrel act like a cat. Cats are predators, and their nervous systems are wired. It's the middle of the sentence. They're wired differently, though, as you know. Cats are calm, right? I mean, they focus, but they're not looking over their shoulder to see. They're a predator, not a prey. So they're not always like worried about, right? Okay. So I was seeing a squirrel acting like a cat. Here it is. This is my text app that doubled this up. Cats are predators, and their nervous system are wired differently than prey animals. This was a fully relaxed squirrel basking in the sun without a care in the world, simply being, yielding, and receiving. Then it occurred to me that the squirrel might be sick and dying. I never seen a squirrel just like be, right? And if so, it was definitely showing me how I would like to die. Still, at peace, calm, and yielding. So I didn't wait to see what eventually happened to the squirrel. It had been a meditation for me, and I got hungry. So I answered that call and I made breakfast. Chop wood, carry water. But I had to dance and sing a little bit first. That was the perfect transition.
That's pretty cool.
I
It was a
think I
pretty cool
stunned
experience.
you in the silence. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, you know, it was, for me, it was like going into this yielding place. The breath exercise is part of it. All of a sudden, I'm sort of like, there's not me and everything else. I am everything else, sort of. And then open and open to magic, just to, yeah.
It's yeah. It's I mean, there was a lot that I took away from that, but at the
Please.
no, definitely. But I would say like just right off the top, I mean, how I experience as it felt like I mean, to me personally, time is irrelevant. That can be debatable, but time is irrelevant. And I felt that with your observation that like there wasn't really like a start and a finish, like maybe a story in a book or a period of time of history or an era or something like that. It's like the story started and finished when you first observed to when you stopped observing. And that was and to me that's the magic of it. It's like no, it doesn't have to have like an introduction, a storyline, a build up, a backdrop, and everything like that. No, it was just one point in time. Here is something that I observed and the journey that I took within it,
Yeah.
everything that I thought about it. But
Yeah.
I mean, how I felt is that you were very present. That felt like a very present. Oh wait, oh there they go. Can you see him? Wait, can you see him on the screen? No.
Oh, bumps on the skin. Look.
Yeah. The hair raised on that one.
Reality ants, reality bumps. Yeah. Yeah.
But that felt. I mean, okay, so you were reading off the phone, but you weren't really reading off the phone. You were that you were in the moment. I was in the moment.
Yeah. You came with me.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the, that's what you saw me preparing for too. Is like I wasn't just going to talk from here. I wanted to become, the words are inadequate, but just become into that moment again and just, carry you with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, almost like you were standing with me and I was going, Chris, do you see what I see? Are you seeing
Oh yeah.
this?
Yeah. I see it. I see it right now. Down to that last part. Tail up, fluffed out.
Right? And just still. And honestly, I did later get breakfast and come back, and it was there, and then it was gone and didn't fall out of the tree. I don't know. There's a nest up in my oak tree, and I know there's a squirrel nest. And there's a big old geezerly squirrel that comes up to my fountain and drinks, and you saw him the other day in my little potted. I have these little daisy, pots of they're carnations mostly on my little fire escape outside my window, right? And that squirrel actually and others get to this roof somehow, come and drink at the fountain. And I watched him dig out an acorn out of my potted plant and just sit there and eat it. I'm like, dude, when did you go down there?
In front of you. Right in front of you. Squirrels are amazing. I mean, they're beautiful creatures. They're humorous as heck. But their acrobatic skills are just out of this world. They learn, they figure things out. It's not just like, oh, I can't jump that. It's like, all right, if I get a running start, grab that, swing it around. Maybe I'll make it by the third try.
Have you seen I found a couple times, got on the internet without looking for it, someone who'd made this incredibly complex squirrel maze.
I wanted to bring it up. I wasn't sure.
And then it's like this complete obstacle course, and these squirrels.
Yeah. but all super safe for the squirrel too. That was the great part about it too. Is like he thought, yeah, he kind of like thought that. Well, there was one catapult one, but it seemed like that he taught that like the way that they land is
Yeah.
very specific to that because
Yeah.
not all times do they.
Analyzed after, but still, the squirrels got that all in their body and in their history and in their genetics, and they came and trimmed this oak tree so that it's like 10 feet from the edge of my roof at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, one day I stepped out that the squirrel wasn't expecting me to come join it. And it went da-da-da-da, and just leaped from my roof and caught the oak tree. And apparently had done that before. I don't know. Maybe it was its first time, but just went, I didn't catch you off guard, did I? I had to turn my heat down. I have a little space heater here, and I'm heating up. So
Oh yeah. Well,
I come and go hot.
Well, where you have temperature issues, I have a cat who was a little disgruntled earlier. She's sitting right next to me now, but I've been, cats on Zoom calls can be a huge distraction, but it's like she wants outside and it's blowing wind, and then she wants out there, but I got the door closed to keep the heat in. And I'm just like, no, you can pout it out. I know the difference when you got to go potty. I know the difference. Yeah.
Forget that.
Yeah. But that's just us being dynamic. Like in the car, remember sometimes I get the heater up too much or maybe not enough. And then you're really sweet. You kind of drop the hint by kind of rolling down the window, just a little crack. But jumping back, you mind if I jump back to that squirrel story real quick? Yeah. Because there's something else I want to ask about it too. So there is, as you've observed from squirrels, I think you said they're hypervigilant. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so they're always darting around, looking around. Of course, they're prey, not predators. It's, eyes on the side, time to run and hide, eyes in front, time to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you observed. But then there was this moment in time while you were paused and observing that squirrel that you observed that squirrel did something to you in your mind very unsquirrel-like, and that is to just take that pause. Yeah. So my question is that like I see an analogy, not like you're 100% like a squirrel, but you're thinking fast, moving fast. You're thin, athletic, light, darty. Got the nice plumage. Yep, all the great stuff. You're funny. But
over there, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But do you think that maybe for a minute that squirrels have been like that all along, and perhaps it was this moment in time where you paused and you observed and you happened to catch a squirrel at a moment that they briefly paused and did their little observant thing, that maybe it was just that coincident in time where, two very hypervigilant creatures like stopped.
Let's calm. And we went, yes.
Yes. And then you zoned in the moment.
And it was mutually supportive, like my calm and its calm and our calm. And it's not easy for me to calm, as you might have noticed, Chris. That's why I have these practices that, even, dance, the way I meditate is through movement, dance. Right?
Yeah.
Not really still. That's like some part of me. My brain is pretty still because my body's moving a lot. But those are mysteries I could never truly say the answer to. But I embrace that as, wow, look, this is a gift from the universe. I don't really know what it means, but obviously my brain goes, wait, squirrels are usually like this. This is something different. So my attention is drawn in, and I'm in co-resonance with the squirrel, and just like, wow, what is this? It's sort of an extended version, but even also a little more like poignant, because it's like seeing a rainbow, like you go, right? Or something like that you don't expect. This one that squirrel just stayed and stayed and stayed. And I stayed with it. And, maybe we could write a poem.
Little squirrel poem.
I kind of wrote it. What did I say? I learned.
Yeah. You kind of did, actually, yeah.
Right?
But he doesn't have to rhyme. Does it?
I do a lot of prose poetry, but
how many things
I could have rhymed it if I'd been intending. But I it was altering. It was, it's kind of one of those moments out, which feels like it's out of normal time because
Eh,
normal time is so full, right? And usually, at least mine is.
yeah.
So that's what you're more or less inquiring about is like, do I see
Yeah.
it that way or yeah?
No, yeah, it was just kind of more like kind of just kind of probing a little deeper to like how you felt, but I'm getting that already, and I'm curious. Did as silly as this may sound, were you and the squirrel? Were you making eye contact? Did you make eye contact?
No, I
Oh.
couldn't make, I have many times with that
You have
squirrel.
before, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's lived 20 years. This squirrel has been like my squirrel, actually one of my squirrels that comes to my fountain and lives in this tree and does all his stuff in this little neighborhood that's my little neighborhood. And usually his little eye is he's looking. I'm just like, yeah, I see you. Yeah, okay. He's skittery with me usually though. He can hold the eye for a second. But he was like 20 feet at least, 20 feet, and I could see a side view of him just
Wow.
last year. Yeah. And my eyes were like not super, they were like expand, just like taking in the
Just
squirrel. And
taking in the whole, yeah,
yeah,
the whole
yeah,
thing
the
there.
whole thing. And the squirrel was like the center. Like if you look at a candle flame, you don't really look, you just have that glow as sort of what is the center. This was the squirrel was my center there.
And you got that side view with that tail too. The
Yeah, I'll get
whole.
this and head down, like I could see him almost a little quarter turned away, head down, tail up, and just not moving at all. Just, at first it was like, and then it was like, oh, no, back down. It was astounding for me, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and like not so far out of the ordinary. It wasn't like a wolf showed up at my window or, something completely
yeah.
outrageous, but it caught my attention. It really did. And I let it. And I there was a kind of a conscious like, oh, still squirrel. Yes. Nice focus. Let's stay with it.
Yeah. I'm liking that feeling. That's a good one. Yeah. It's very sweet.
Hmm. I'm glad I shared it. Yeah. And I'm glad I shared it with you.
Hmm.
Yeah. It feels like we're in the car
We are.
driving back from the dance.
Yeah, kind of like that chill afterwards. Yeah, because it's different. Sometimes the vibe's a little different from the evening, right? I mean, when we're on our way out, sometimes we're just a little bit more hyped up on the way back if it's been like a heavy dance and we're just kind of like,
Yeah,
decompressing from stuff that we observed or
you're right. On the
yeah.
way, I'm like, usually, because I'm just like, it's been a week, we haven't talked, and here we are, and and then we dance. And for me, that's just like moves. It's just like and even then it might, even if something amazing happened, I'd be like, wow, did you catch that? Not right. And you're like,
Yeah.
got it, dude. Right.
We usually do. We usually do catch the same stuff. Did you see that? Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yamanjo, is that his name? With the first time we saw him and the guy with the flutes, like this
Oh
was
yeah, that was actually Church of Eight Wheels. I remember the guy. Yeah, I forget. There's an actual name for it, but yeah, the actual branches that not branches. Excuse me.
yeah,
It was an
an
antlers.
antler flute, and that guy. Yeah, we weren't at Fairfax, but you still gave me a road trip to Church of Eight Wheels. It was just a daytime dance instead of, for me, not the same, but close in terms of
Oh,
the ritual, right?
well, what's so funny about that is that when I was talking about a shared experience that you and I are looking at each other saying, are you,
Oh,
yeah, 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 exactly. Are you kidding me? The funny part about that is that's exactly the experience that I was thinking of. We were sitting on the floor on the Church of Eight Wheels, and which is the dance place in San Francisco for ecstatic dance. I'm learning. But anyway, I remember that, and that was so important to me to this day. That powerful experience of like, there's no way that I'll ever be able to describe to anybody like I'm not going to say I'm going through, what we're going through, just the collective, all of us there. And that moment's iconic over any other shared experience that I have, certainly within the dance community. There's nothing that compares to that.
No, that one is it. And I knew you were talking about that
Yeah.
one. I knew you were.
Just the eye contact,
You were just like, it was the end of the dance, and this is called, so we have an hour and a half, 2 hours, at least, of music that takes us on a journey, and it's 50 to 100 people in this room, and it's a gorgeous space, and it's big speakers, and it's DJ music, but it just might as well be live in the intensity of the experience and the communal sense of it, and everyone individually expressing, but also connecting is and as they will or not. And then the DJ finishes, and there's what we call like the sound healing, or someone comes up, different person each time at each dance. These are live. This is someone who sings or plays piano or chants or sometimes interactive. And these guys got on the stage, and Chris and I had never seen them or anything like it. Wasn't it both of them? Was it Humando?
Yeah, I think there was another performer there too that was doing something as well.
There were three. I
think there were three. Yeah, it was like a trio. Yeah, because I think they followed each other around down in Guatemala, is what it was.
And they just sort of happened. They just happened in this incredible sound that was pristine and precise and otherworldly, and this guy blowing out of both sides of his mouth into these outlers and making this incredible flute sound. And then, the trombone, right? Is that what he plays? A big long trombone?
God, he does a couple of them. That's right. No, is it I'm trying to remember if it's a trombone, or I think it's actually, I think he does the trumpet, but maybe the trombone.
But whatever one, it's a brass thing that, and then the woman was vocal, and they just improvised. It was just like, and we just went, is this happening? Are we on acid? Like, what? Like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Validate me, please. Right. Okay. Yeah. Unrepeatable and indelible.
Yeah. Not to say that there aren't other experiences that can have that same sort of intensity, but yeah, that was so far it.
Sort of unmatched up to this point,
Well, and also too, I was going to say, I think the other part about that is just the Church of Eight Wheels, and I did that actually in one of Tyler's dances where it kept coming up, and I'm like, okay, here's a Zoom full of people who have never been in before, and I actually had them close their eyes and walk them through, this missionary style church that opens up, and there's a mezzanine up above, but once you walk into the main area, then it's 40-foot vaulted ceilings with Sistine Chapel sort of paintings of guardian angels at the top, and stained glass windows that go all the way up with the saints that are looking down from up above. Yeah, and just the acoustics, and especially when the sunlight would come in and it would reflect through that one circular window on the side with the multiple panes onto the floor. Yeah, nice little beam of sunshine.
The spiritual awe, AWE, of that place. And this was Church of Eight Wheels, is the name of, it's a roller skate rink. That's the Eight Wheels.
Yeah.
And so it's wood floor, and it's oval, like a big ice rink, but rode a roller rink from the old days. And then with this church-like atmosphere, and this is where Tyler chose to create what was it, Saturday morning? Sunday morning?
Sunday morning. Yeah, Sunday morning.
Ecstatic Dance in San Francisco. You know, and with all these, I was going to say hippies, but we're all just whoever. It's the makeup of the people that show up are just, artists, creators, techies, whoever that has found the medicine, the medicine and the community and the magic that happens in a well facilitated ecstatic dance, right?
Where everybody feels welcome. It's hard to convince somebody of that. It's like, you just got to go. But you know what? If you just go, open mind and an open heart, people are just going to welcome you in. Yeah, and that's consistent with all dances.
Yeah. And you're, it's almost a challenge when you realize you can be yourself. Nobody's like telling you what dance steps to do, or, you know, the guiding thing in an ecstatic dance is no talking, which makes a completely different atmosphere than a dance where people are social talking on the dance floor. That's like a whole different thing. This is dance. This is self-expression through the body and listening through and communication, you know, and being moved and letting yourself be moved and not analyzing yourself about how you're moving or anybody else. Hopefully it's like there's no photography or video. You come in and it starts you slow, you know, like almost often yoga beforehand, a yoga class, and then the music is this journey that everyone takes in their own way, but also all together. And then it slows down and brings us back to this place of right? Yeah.
It's kind of a dreamy podcast. I'm just kind of floating right now a little bit. Yeah.
I'm like,
We're just starting to scratch the surface on all the dance. Wow. You know, I mean, I don't want to make it like 110% the focal point, but boy, you start going there, harmony, and it's just like, yeah, you just start thinking about those experiences where you just show up and excited to see people that you know, and maybe meet people that you haven't for the first time, or watching other people ecstatic dance for the first time or first couple times, like having their moment like we did within the church, saying, are you kidding me? My goodness.
right. And everyone having their uniqueness all in the same place. And yet it's like, I think we create a field in a way. You know, we each bring, it's almost like maybe not exactly a symphony, but like someone makes a tone and then here comes another tone and harmonizes, another tone comes in and another tone. And pretty soon you have this sound that's created by everyone, and yet every tone in it has its own unique, you know, flavor and place to fit. And it just, yeah. Oh, do I love dancing? I love dancing. Okay, full confession, I love dancing. And I will. Maybe we're getting ready to close out. Was that your cat tail?
Yeah. I got her little tail.
Perfect. I love it when the cat tail just kind of goes.
Just barely in. Well, we were getting towards the end, so I'm like, all right, you can walk across the lap for a second, but for the most part, I honestly try to.
She's fine. She or he or it, this gray cat,
Yeah.
whatever this cat is. I think I want to. I'm realizing now to maybe head toward closing, and I'm not sure I've ever even told you this, but it's an iconic sort of story, which I will encapsulate for you. And in other podcasts, you'll get more backstory. But basically, I came to San Francisco after living in Montana for a while. And I had already found a dance form called contact improvisation dance. And I knew there was some real magic in that for me. But I had not come into a freestyle dance space, only bars where, you know, there's music and drinking and talking and all the stuff that goes on. Hadn't even really found club music, but not that either. And a friend who was a contact dancer invited me to come to San Francisco and go to something that was called, I think it was called Barefoot Boogie at the time. And it was in a dance studio, but like a vaulted ceiling space, similar to the Church of Eight Wheels, but wood floor, gorgeous wood floor. And I had no idea. I walked in there and the dance had already started. So people were dancing, the DJ was going, the whole thing was happening when I walked in up the stairs in there. And I thought, I'm home. I'm home.
It's a good feeling.
That's yeah. I belong here. I'm home. This is me. These are my people. Yay, finally. because I spent so much of my life feeling not that, right?
Yeah.
Not that. Oh, mm. It's awesome to be able to share that with someone who gets it, because when you get that, you get me. So I feel gotten.
Mhm.
And Chris, I want to thank you for being my friend, my dance buddy, my pilot on the road trip, my co-pilot on the road trip to Fairfax podcast.
and and I want to thank you in return, just for, I mean, for pushing forward and doing this, first of all. That just to say, you know what, how does Tuesday at this time work? It's like, hats off for locking it in. That's what I love about you, just taking that initiative and going for it. But yeah, for being my friend and my co-pilot, and getting it as well. And just like, I really enjoy, this is where I'm going to have a hard time describing the words, but I'm going to do it. But I really enjoy how we have that sort of connection that doesn't always have to be filled with words. And it's very advantageous to have the eye contact now, but even on the phone, to feel that energy of saying, okay, pause for a minute.
Yeah,
Let's just take a minute to take it all in. Words are not needed at this point. We're here. So I
yeah.
feel home too. I feel
Awesome.
very much at home.
Awesome. Oh, well, I couldn't be happier. Um, Feels like a great success, whatever that means, just because really nourishing and fun and full of good stuff.
Yeah.
And good feelings. I think I'll invite you to close with me the way that I have found I like to close from Zoom. And I'll describe it to you because you're unfamiliar, and then we'll just do it together, and that's how we'll end. You feel complete enough to be finished with your words at this point with this? Yeah? Okay.
I do. Yeah. I'm due.
Okay. So just watch me for a second. So you what you make a heart, like with your hands. I always end up with it here or somewhere that no one sees it, but this is like what this means to me is this is like this holds everything. My heart, my energy, me, my love, who I am, all this that we shared, and then you'll be making your own. And then I take that energy and it's like blowing a kiss. So I bring it to the screen and just blow a kiss like that. And that's how we say goodbye for today. All right. And I'll go 1, 2, 3. No, I won't even do that. Instead, what I like better is we'll just watch each other and we'll see if we can do it together. All right. Here we go.